Hello, and welcome to Office Hours with Amber. I'm Amber, and this is Office Hours. We're going to see if the audio is working, and then we'll be off to the races. This is the first real week of July, and we will be doing Python. Hello, and welcome to... Good enough. Audio's working. Okay, so this week I'm doing Python this month, which Python is a coding language, and it's natively now used. It's now natively accessible in Excel. And I know pretty much nothing about it. I know it's used to do a lot. My understanding of Python is pretty much zero. Most of these months I go in with some sort of idea or some sort of vibe of where I think it's going. But this is a true try new things, see how it goes month. Every demonstration I've seen of Excel has been, here's how to do something you can do in Excel normally, but here's how you do it with Python. And that doesn't specifically ring any bells or have any, there's no alarm bells for me that ever go, yeah, I really need to learn Python. But I know as you get more into like, I know with like machine learning and some really, I'm not even going to lie to you. I just have no idea what I should use for it in Excel. Now in Python itself, the cool thing is there's so many, oh, Banjo is just lounging. I think we can zoom in. Look at this sweet boy. Just Banjo cam. Yeah, so we're going to figure out why and when does it make sense to use Python in Excel. I'm hoping to dodge all of the, here's what you could do, just more painfully difficult in a different language, which is not always the worst idea, but I'm really on the hunt to see when does Python really make sense. Now, the other cool thing that I've learned or I've heard from others is, well, there's two aspects. Because it is newer, I've heard through rumblings through the rumor mill that there are, like, of the Python coding language, there are libraries or like sections, subsections of code and different, I don't even have the vocabulary, like pandas and blank. I'm going to watch some videos. Today I'm going to ChatGPT, YouTube, Google, just figure out what the hell is going on in there. And then the nice thing is I think with Python itself, if you have to take on the simple case, the funny thing about the simple case is I've never done it even ever. So everyone has all of this lore. That'd be like me saying I've never done any Lana Banana cases. Like, there's so much lore there with the simple case that I just have not explored, nor have I explored any Python. So without further ado, I'm going to try my best. In essence, and the funny thing is, for those of you that don't know, my first major in college was computer science. So back then I took like a C Sharp, and Java, like coding classes, and I was pretty good at them. So this is really just me returning to my roots. And I don't think, and the nice thing is there's a lot of, I'm going to really finish the sentence, I promise. The cool thing about Python is if I start to understand what it's really good at, I've heard that ChatGPT and all of the AI helper assistant things are really good at coding in Python. So if I can find the right use cases, I can let it do what it needs to do. And I don't have to learn the whole language, but just understanding the foundational building blocks of Python, I think, will warrant me a lot of reward, or at least a lot of like benefit to be able to understand why ChatGPT writes it the way it writes it. But yeah, I'm stalling because I'm a little nervous. I'm less nervous about this month than I am Lambda month because I don't see a ton of people talking about Python yet. Whereas Lambda, I felt like I was so behind, and that's what kind of drove my brain into being like, oh, I gotta catch up. But we don't operate out of scarcity, and we don't operate out of lack here. So today we're just attacking this with like no expectations. Only hope that we find at least one or two use cases that actually make sense for me to want to use in my day-to-day. But yeah, so let's do it. Banjo is literally so cute. I love him so much. He needs a bath though. Okay, let's do it. Okay, we're just gonna start humbly with, please help me become, about to try and learn about Python in Excel. Are you familiar? If yes, ask me 5 questions. Let's do 3 questions. 3 questions that will help me make a learning plan to become familiarized with it. If no biggie, just let me know. I wonder if giving it an option to not be an expert will actually warrant any good results. Very familiar with Python and Excel. I don't know if you could read that. I'm going to zoom in. There we go. Both native integration and methods like using Python through Power Query or connected scripts. Oh, I didn't know you could use it in there. What do you already know? I know nothing. Not specific. What types of things do you usually do in Excel that you'd want to enhance using Python? I'd like to figure out what Python does better, more efficiently, or in spite of Excel's lack. I'd like to avoid examples where you could do it in Python with 100 more lines of code to do the same thing. Really looking for the best use cases of it. I'm going to answer the rest of that. Yeah. How hands-on do you want to be? Do you mostly want to watch and understand first and apply later, or do you want to build small real-world things immediately and learn through doing? Ooh. All right, let's see what it says. Build intuition. Why you'd use Python inside of Excel only for things that Excel struggles with. Brilliant. I like the way that it said that. Build intuition. Because that's what it is. Because really, like a lot of before you know how to use XLOOKUP or index match or Power Query or lets or lambdas, you have to build up a reason to use them. And it really is an intuition of like, I've seen problems in the past look like 5 scenarios. And in those 5 scenarios, I've used index match for all of them and it's worked really well. So really, it's just the continued practice builds the like spider sense, a little spidey sense. Hey, I should use it for this. I call it the alarm bells. It calls it intuition. We love. Quick explainer, why use Python? I'll summarize the key use cases below. Demo videos or GIFs showing single formula in Python replaces hundreds of rows of manual cleanup. Okay. Let's copy this. Whoa. Multi-level groupings would be nice. Statistical analysis and forecasting. I don't know what that is. Ugh. Fuzzy matching deduplication. I'd love to see the fuzzy matching, but I also do not trust. I do not trust fuzzy matching because it only leads to chaos. Because you will fuzzy match once, and then you'll be in the middle of like doing reporting, and you'll be like, why does everything match this one thing? And it's like, that is the quickest. I think I have not found a good reason for fuzzy matching. And if you are unfamiliar with fuzzy matching, let me know. But I am an exact match girl because if you leave room for error, there will be error. And like the only time I like using, not even a fuzzy match, but like the in an XLOOKUP, in an XLOOKUP, there's like maybe it's the match. I don't know. One of those has like a match setting where it's like this or something lesser or this or something greater, which is really nice because of some circumstances I really like that when you don't have an exact match. But when there is an opportunity for fuzzy matching, it always leads me astray. So I'd be interested to see. I'm surprised it doesn't say when you want to process large quantities of data that wouldn't traditionally fit in the grid. No, that's a other good point. Because that is what I've heard the most people use it for or be interested in. I think it might be a little coerced by what I've said before. So it knows me a little bit and knows that I'm a small business, and I'm giving it a lot of credit right now. With ChatGPT, because I've got usually small data sets, I've worked with humongous ones back at Anheuser-Busch, but like most of the companies I'm dealing with don't have like that much data going on. But it should have at least prompted that that's an option, especially if it's telling me some other silly stuff. But I digress. Web scraping or API pulls. API pulls would be really nice. But I feel like most API pulls, I guess I haven't tried too many of those. Because you can do that through Power Query, but maybe it's faster. I don't know. I'll have to look. I've heard, sorry, we're just flipping back and forth. Hope you're not getting seasick. I've heard that depending on, like sometimes there's some speed or processing issues with Python, but we're going to find out. For now, custom data cleaning rules makes it easy to write flexible logic. Visualization beyond charts. We'll see. We'll see about that. Okay, back on subject. Phase 2. Try things that are actually better than native Excel in small scoped ways. So replace merge cells, weird headers, fill blanks all in one go. We'll see. Summarize text and count words. Perhaps use stat models to do Excel's forecast. I might like that one because it's the similar notion, and I've built a forecasting portal before for a previous client. I felt a little contained, if you will, because I knew the limitations of what Excel could really do. So it looked like a lot of moving averages and like year over year trend and, seasonally adjusted stuff. But I could have done like Holt Winter and some like multiple regression and all that. But because I haven't done that in like literally a decade in Excel and I get nervous, I would be interested to see forecasting model. But I think I'm also scorned because my time forecasting at Anheuser-Busch, globally recognized humongous supply chain, and their forecast models, difference is there's like long-term forecast models versus the short-term being the next 12 weeks, was all done mildly manually. So like they had these statistical models for 12 to 52 weeks out that would go and ebb and flow throughout the year. And then they'd come into like the wholesaler item level forecasts. When they got to that level, it literally was so heinous sometimes. Like it got high volume, not turbulent items, really good. Fantastic. We all could have done that. But then anything that had any kind of variability, the machine learning that we had implemented back in 2020, so miserable. And like their long-term forecasting models were just, SAP was not created for that level of intensity nationwide. So anyways, I've been scorned many a time by a forecast. And so that's why I get nervous. Anytime someone is overly reliant on a statistical forecast, I'm like, life is going to happen, right? Pretty crazy. Like once I figured out that all forecasting is it's always going to be wrong. Some are useful, and same thing with financial models, and same thing with all of it. But there has to be a science element, which like math and science element, which is all like averages and statistics and all of that. And then there has to be the human element, because there's, we used to say this a lot, previous performance is not indicative of future behavior. So for instance, with like selling things online, if you're selling something for $30 for the last 2 years and you have flat sales, you're like, I sell 100 cans a day or 100 lollipops a day, and then you drop the price, but tell no one, the forecast is going to change, or like rather the sales behavior is going to change. But because of that human element, that little lever you pulled has now changed the whole dynamic. And so that's why I call a lot of forecasting is like anecdotal multiple regression, because there's 700 million things that are going to impact it. You just have to treasure hunt to find what is that thing and how early can I find out that behavior is happening. I'm stalling. Sorry, guys. Whoops. Wrong one. Back to the monitor. Okay. I'm interested to see what it means by forecast. I'm interested in that. Build reusable patterns, data reshaper, report pre-cleaner, forecast builder. I would be interested. We'll see. I'm skeptical, but we'll see. I'm going to go to YouTube. I think ChatGPT is going to try her best, but we'll see. And do you really need it? That's a great question, Layla. 1-minute hacks you can use today. 3 weeks ago. Fantastic. Man, she was referencing ChatGPT, Python, and Excel a year ago. Our girl. We've got 30 days to learn Python and Excel. Ooh. Okay, from the greatest. Okay, we've got a good lineup. Let's start with the basics.
So Python is in Excel. You've probably seen the headlines. If you haven't spotted that new button in Excel yet, you will soon. But what exactly is it? And more importantly, are you going to need it for your work? So I've made different videos on the how. In this video, let me give you a high-level overview so you can decide if this is going to be your next essential skill. So what is Python in Excel? Python is one of the most popular programming languages in the world. It's used in everything from machine learning to building apps to automating stuff. But here's the thing, in Excel, we're not using it to build apps or websites. We're using it to make data analysis inside Excel more powerful. So you just open your spreadsheet, type in =py, and you're in Python mode. That means you can combine the flexibility of Python with the structure of Excel. Let me give you a more detailed example of something I created.
Gina Costa, looking simply stunning.
It's an ad. We'll be back. Ooh. Whoops.
Different trading strategy. The one in green is the trading strategy, and the one in blue is just buy and hold the portfolio. So assuming that I invested $1,000 starting from this date, how would those two different portfolios compare with one another? This currently is for Amazon. Let's change it to Microsoft and see what we get. The buy and hold still performs better. What if we started in 2022? Let's see how this updates. Okay, things could be slightly different, right? Let's switch our stock to PepsiCo, for example. How would that look like? Not bad. So here I'm combining Python. This here is Python together with Excel, cell references here, and I'm using the data types feature in Excel, right? So from data types, the stocks feature. And all of this is done here in this cell. So all the Python calculations are here. That's it. If I was going to do this in Excel, it would require lots of helper columns, right? So Python in Excel not only gives us things that we couldn't do before in Excel, but it also makes things that are difficult a lot easier to do. Just to be clear, this is not an add-in. You don't need a separate installation. It's just going to be a part of your ribbon.
Which is nice.
And you also don't need programming skills. So I don't have a programming background. I was an economist, then worked in finance, and then project management.
Oh my gosh.
The cool thing is that you're going to find
the most iconic picture.
Project management. The cool thing is that you're going to find that Python in Excel looks a lot like writing Excel formulas. Right? There's an easy side to it, and there's an advanced side. Just like with Excel formulas, you can have simple formulas, and then you can get all geeky and have very complicated formulas. It's the same in Python, but the easy side will already help you achieve a lot. And there might be a side effect, which happened to me. You might end up loving Python and unwillingly end up with a new valuable skill. So
which I believe is probably going to happen for me, because once I unlock what it can do, I think it'll be really cool. We just got to get there.
How does Python actually work in Excel? When you enter a Python formula, Excel sends that code to the cloud, specifically to a secure server hosted by Microsoft in partnership with Anaconda. That's why you don't need to install Python, because you're using Microsoft's version. Now, since this is built for data analysis, you can't use it to generate files or control other apps, but you can use it to analyze your spreadsheets data or connect to external files like CSVs through Power Query. Just a heads up, there is a free version and a premium version. The free version is part of your Microsoft 365 subscription, and it gives you a limited amount of premium compute each month.
Oh.
After that, it can get a bit slower, but totally usable, especially for learning. So if you're getting started, you can absolutely learn Python in Excel with the free version. Next, let's talk about why it's a big deal. Why use Python? So Excel is not going anywhere, and it already gives us a lot of tools, right? We have advanced formulas, pivot tables, charts, Power Query, but we still know it has its limitations, especially when it comes to advanced data analysis. That's where Python fills in the gaps by giving us access to a whole ecosystem that wasn't available to us before. We can use it to create advanced visuals that go way beyond standard Excel charts. We could create proper forecasting models, which is great for finance teams. Machine learning, like clustering data into segments, or spotting anomalies, which is really useful in auditing. If you're using Excel on a very basic level, so let's say you're just using it to input data, this is not for you. But if you're using it for analysis, like data analysis, especially every day, this changes what's possible. What about Copilot? Yes, you can use AI tools like ChatGPT and Copilot to help you write your Python code. And most of the time, it's pretty good. So for example, here, I have historical dates and I have my revenue. Let's say I want to do some time series analysis, and I have Copilot in Excel. So I'm going to click on this icon and get deeper analysis results using Python. So the sidebar pops up, and I'll tell it to decompose the time series data. Let's see what we get. I can use advanced analysis for that. Okay, it's understanding the data. Let's wait a little bit. Okay, ready to get started? Yes, start. It inserted a new sheet here. It loaded the data into what is called a data frame, and it's giving us a preview on the sidebar. And it's decomposed it into trend, seasonal, and residual components. Okay, but I want it as a chart. So give me a chart. Let's see what it does. Okay, so now it gave me the trend, seasonal, and residual. And here is the code behind this. Now, I don't know why Copilot has gone nuts and added all this, because looking at this, you might be like, oh my God, I will never learn Python. But this can actually be written like this. You get all the time series components.
That's crazy.
We even get one additional chart for the actual values.
Doing too much.
So AI works, but it's not always perfect, and it's not always available. Just this past week, Copilot kept crashing, ChatGPT ghosted, but your boss probably didn't. Your deadlines were still on time. You can't outsource your understanding or your thinking to AI, because otherwise you'll get stuck. Plus, it's really important to understand what's even possible so you know what to ask or how to ask. That's why I created a course that walks you through exactly that. It's called Python in Excel for the Real World. It's designed for Excel people, for you, if you're ready to discover this new side of Excel and pick up a new skill that not so many people in your field have. You can follow along the example.
That was a very good video. 10 out of 10 for Layla. Okay.
Here's why.
Let's do, okay. So far, so good. I think I'm going to post the links as I watch them, because afterwards I always forget. But so far, vibes are high. I think, yeah, we're just going to keep going.
You'll never look at Excel the same way again. Dates in weird formats, data in columns that should be in rows, advanced data analysis that seems to need hours of setup. Well, I'm going to share 3 simple 30-second hacks for each of these. Without these, you could easily spend half a day cleaning up your sheets. That sounds weird. Excel sheets. For example, this is something I used to run into all the time at my previous job. Messed up dates. People would constantly overwrite my data validation with their own messy dates. SAP extracts, often would also come with unrecognizable dates for Excel. Now, at first I was naive. I was like, it's not a problem. I'm just going to select this, go and adjust the formatting to be a date. No luck. I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to try and use formulas because the year function is probably smart and it can give me the year. I was wrong. So I'd try, but then I would give up because people were very creative with the different ways they would enter dates. So I would just go about this manually, cell by cell. Now, obviously, this data set is fine, but imagine you have hundreds of rows, which is what I used to deal with.
Current video dropped in the chat.
In fact, it's only going to take you 5 seconds to fix hundreds of rows of messy dates. You're going to go here, type in equals py to go in Python mode. Python is a part of Microsoft 365. If you don't see it yet in your desktop version, it's coming. It's being rolled out. You might see it in your web version. In Python mode, you're going to type in pd dot, this stands for pandas, but we don't need to get bogged down with details, to date time. So as I type in 2, notice the IntelliSense pops up. We're going to take that first one, open the bracket, reference that cell with the messy date, close the bracket, press Control Enter. And that's our proper date. Now we're going to go here, switch our view to Excel values, and send this down. And we have proper dates everywhere.
I am silenced. Pretty cool, guys. It's pretty cool.
The 8th of
Dang. I got no other words, guys.
December 2025, that's the proper date. We have 3rd of November, proper date. 31st Oct 25, proper date. Now let's talk about cases when you have your data in columns and you want it in rows. You need to flip your data sideways. The official term is called unpivoting. So here we have our Rubik's Cube quarterly sales. This is a different Rubik's Cube, quarterly sales in separate columns. We want to bring all this data into a single column. Well, you don't want to do this manually, but Excel formulas can get really complicated. Power Query is an option, but it's not always fast. What you can do is this. Equals py to go to Python mode.
Wait, setting up my fake data. Let's make it smaller. Let's do 5. Okay. Amber. Let's pretend like these are... Amber is never truly silenced. You know what? You're so right. Okay, we've got our fake data here.
pd.melt. We're going to use the pandas melt function. Open the bracket, reference your data, define the columns that you want to keep. These are your ID columns. So in this case, I want the product column to stay. So we're going to type in ID underscore
narrator window.
vars.
Close button. Heading scan. Exiting narrator.
There's a lot going on. Okay. Okay, I have missed some details.
pd.melt. We're going to use the pandas melt function. Open the bracket, reference your data, define the columns that you want to keep. These are your ID columns. So in this case, I want the product column to stay. So we're going to type in ID underscore vars. You're going to see it pop up here. You can type in product in quotes, or I'm just going to reference the column header. Close the bracket, commit this. We get a data frame returned. We want to spell this. This time I'm going to use the shortcut keys Control, Alt, Shift, M.
Oh.
And that's it. We have our products.
I feel like mine is not like that. Oh, because it didn't commit the thing I said. Okay. This. Oh, I need the ID bars. Yay. Okay.
The quarters and our sales values. Now, if you're picky,
Again, that's very cool. I'm blessed to have the Laylas of the universe to find these Easter eggs for us, because I don't begin as the creative in these new things I learn. I'm just trying to like see what's out there so that I can then expand off of it. But that could have been useful literally yesterday. Cool.
like me and you want to have proper column names instead of variable and value, you can. We just need to expand on our arguments here. So to define the name for the quarter column, we're going to use var underscore name equals, in quotes, type in whatever you want. I'm going to go with quarter. And to switch the value name to something more meaningful, we're going to go with value underscore name and in quotes, put sales.
Make the most of your summer by saving on Corsair Plus. Get $159 off a year of access to over 10.
Now you might be like, but Layla, this is not fully dynamic because your range is only referencing this area. What if we add more values to the bottom? Well, guess what? You can make it dynamic. All we need to do is just add on to it a little bit. We're going to expand our range first. So instead of just referencing what we have here, let's expand it to row 25. Now, if I commit this right now, we're going to see these empty stuff showing up here. We want to suppress that. So we're going to add on dot drop NA to get rid of those. Now, when you just do this, you get the index column showing up. Now in Python, whenever there is a gap in the index column is going to drop as well, right? So here we have the gap where our empty cells were. So we want to suppress that. We just need to do dot reset index in brackets, put drop equals true. And now we have a fully dynamic unpivot function. So if I go here and add,
I've done something. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Whoa. Uh-oh. Backpedal. Something's wrong. Dot. Reset index. Drop equals... Oh. Maybe capital T? Ah. Okay. It is case sensitive. That's okay. It's doing a lot of magic.
The dynamic unpivot function. So if I go here and add a new type of cube, let's just pull these down to get some numbers. We see LG cube for quarter 1 pop up here, LG cube quarter 2, and so on. Unpivoting data in
I don't feel like it's as dynamic as some of the other things that are dynamic in Excel. So it'd be cool. And this is where I'm saying she opens the door, I walk through it. My understanding of the little things that you can do and some of the like dot drop NA feels like you're wrapping the whole block because you're basically pandas dot melt is doing something, which is it's melting, which I also I love Python's vocabulary for things. Very fun. But basically, if I'm using the dynamic array knowledge that I got with lets and lambdas and all this stuff, is the primary like function you're doing is creating the array of data, and then dot blank is basically like wrapping everything in that. So I'd be interested to see if you swapped the order of if we swap the order of like dot reset index and then drop NA, if it would do it in an opposite order. Harry, it is kind of handcuffed a lot compared to normal Python. The nice thing is, in comparison to the shackles that we let ourselves be in Excel, although not many, they've really unshackled us from a lot of things. Hi, Jody. With this, it does open the door for new types of things, but this is like the baby stepping stone into Python, especially if you've never done Python before. I think this would get me excited enough that I'd go look to learn more about Python, because this is like, same thing with like Power Query is like, Power Query is the baby stepping stones to M, and M makes me more comfortable with like, and Power Query is like, it's a gateway drug for data science, really. It's like, how do we make the barrier to entry for data science so small that people want to get excited about it? Because I had a guy that was talking about, I really want to get into data visualization. I'm like, how much do you know about cleaning data? And he was like, not anything. And I was like, buckle up. Really, it's like, same thing of like, I want to design video games, which Harry, you're very familiar with. So cool, by the way. Literally so stoked. This coming weekend, I shall be playing it. If you guys didn't know, Harry Gross made a Excel video game. Coolest thing ever. And he was so gracious to have a little NPC with my name on it. It was so cool. Anyways, comma. I, in high school, was like, I want to be a video game designer, which sounds fun until you realize it's a lot of coding, a lot of logic, and a lot of like, the back end is not cute fun as like drawing characters and hee hee ha ha, you know? Same thing with like Power BI and data visualization is really behind you're a data janitor behind the scenes. But anyways, we're going to keep going. This, I'm excited that even just showing the little bits of what Python can do is going to be exciting. So when I actually want to go get into Python land, I'll have like some working very minute knowledge. So then I won't be like so intimidated to like get that. But I digress. Jody, thank you for the 1,000,000 hearts that you're sending. I'm going to assume that's you. Okay, back on track.
Excel is no longer a messy process. Next, let's talk about uncovering patterns. After all, that's what advanced data analysis comes down to: discovering things about your data that will help you drive better decisions. So let's say you get this data set. You have different shipping methods, you have the packaging type and delivery time in hours. Now, it doesn't help if you just stare.
Make a fake data set real quick. Someone needs us helping to, I think. Jody, I don't think that's English that you just said. I love you so much, but I don't know if that was English. But, oh my God. Let's just, bunch of days. It's just, date. Method, back, time, ew. Sorry, I'm just making some data for myself. Morning. Oh. Let's just do this. Okay, we have fake data now. We're gonna copy, paste as values. Okay. We have a table.
Stare at this data set or scroll through it, you're not going to discover much. What helps is if you use the next 30 seconds to create some really impressive visuals that will tell you what's going on in this data. Now, there are so many different ways you can go about this. One quick one is to do this. You're going to go type in equals py SNS, this is the Seaborn library of Python, dot swarm plot. Open the bracket.
Swarm plot? Dang.
Select your data set. Now this is an Excel table, so I'm going to go to the side here until I get the tilted arrow. Click again to make sure the headers are selected.
I'm going to make this a structured table. Shipping. PY, SNS, swarm plot.
Next, I can define what I want on the x-axis. I want the shipping method, so I'm just going to select the column header. Then what do I want in the y-axis? I want the delivery time in hours. Close the bracket, commit this. I get an image object back. I'm going to pop it out, so right mouse click, display plot over the cells. And I can quickly see the different...
Perhaps ran between, let's say, 11 and 54. Oh, knock it off. Okay. I have done something wrong. X equals method. Great. Comma. Y equals time. Incomplete input. What's nice is this little Python editor comes up and tells you kind of what's wrong with it. So, oh, that's cool too. It's got internal, it's telling you kind of step by step what it's trying to do. I see. So if you have other things going on in here, it'll, I think if I go, and it'll go right to it. So if I have Python errors only. Ooh, this is cool. I don't know if you guys can see this very well. Let me open this up. Let's do, I don't know if you can see this little bin over here. So it's the Python editor. You can go to like where all of it lives to see what you got going on in here, which is nice if you want to reuse code. I didn't know that. And then alternatively, if I want to go to only things that have errors, it's telling me the incomplete input line. So I'm guessing I need another. Oops. Oh yeah. Okay. I just needed another one of those. Okay, cool. Back on track.
Delivery time in hours. Close the bracket, commit this. I get an image object back. I'm going to pop it out. So right mouse click, display plot.
Display plot over cells. Ah. Okay, you know what? That's pretty cool. Let's see if I edit data, if it edits it live. It does. Wait. I'm obsessed. Let's just make them all. Whoa. That's important. Rendered speechless again. I have no words. think it's good to take a moment with yourself to just be like astonished. I don't think I've been astonished in a while. And I think I'm going to have to come back to how I feel about this.
Over the cells. And I can quickly see the different clusters. So here for Express, I have a bigger cluster here. This is between 20 and 30 hours. I do have some package type. I have a bigger cluster here. This is between 20 and 30 hours. I do have some outliers. Now, to be able to get more out of this data, I'm going to go back to my function and add hue equals package type. This is going to tell me whether I have differences when I send over fragile versus non-fragile packages.
Ooh.
And look at this.
Wait. That was so cool. I don't know if you can see, but
the blue is
you know when you okay, for those of you unaware of the joy of learning new things in Excel is you're like, wow, I can do all this cool stuff in the future. But then there's this evil little demon that just goes on your back every time that you learn something new. You're like, I've wasted so much time up until this moment. The number of hours I have designated to changing motherfucking colors on graphs. I'm okay. I'm fine. Things are fine. It's cool. I'm not okay. It's like this is an exciting moment for all man and womankind. It's just tough to find out like right now. So again, we're gonna say a big old thank you to Layla because this is so
fragile,
wicked.
Orange, non-fragile. It does seem that fragile packages are taking longer for overnight shipping, also same-day shipping, and Express seems to have some problems as well. All of this in under a minute.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here,
a deep breath.
What? This is just minor stuff. With Python in Excel, you can do things like creating a bullet chart function to visualize performance, or connecting to external data and forecasting future periods. Yeah, you don't even need to have your data in Excel. You can build visuals that help you discover important things.
We can now run.
Yeah, I'm just speechless, guys. Now, those are like quick tips. And I think if I, similarly to, like if I was to have to relearn all of Excel right now, obviously ChatGPT is going to make like a path, but if I was to restart from scratch, how it usually works is I would go tab by tab, clicking and saying, okay, what does this first button do? Click a button. Find out what it does. And that's how I began to learn Excel. That's how I learned how to video edit. That's how I learned most everything that I do. And so if I was to restart completely from scratch, I would touch every single button on this ribbon, all of the ribbons, especially the formulas tab, like recently used, financial. There's so many things in here. And so what I'm imagining is with Python, I have a deep rabbit hole of stuff to go down. And I know there's like the two methods of thought that are like, one is, I have a problem to solve. What's the best tool to use? And then the flip of that is I want to know every single little bit of everything. And then I can at will choose when I want to, like, then I know all the problems I could possibly ever solve. So right now in this moment, like Ella was saying, oh my gosh, Ella, thank you so much for being here. So excited. She's saying, feel like your mind is like mine being like, okay, yes, I should have learned this earlier, but how can I start using this like now, yesterday? And this is, you're watching the gears turning in my nog right now, because there's so, like, just a little teaser of here's 5 things you could do in 30 seconds has already, like, my brain's like, I need to know all the different, like, I want to, if there's like a Python, I probably should just buy her course. She did a hell of a job selling it. Those were 2 videos were impactful as shit. That's great. God, Layla's so great. But yeah, now I'm like, I've dipped my toe into that, and now I'm like, if that was how quickly you could do really impactful things, imagine if I knew all of Python. And the fact that it's natively acceptable and found in Excel and is continuing to be rolled out to other licensed users is really impactful, because the big thing I would be concerned about is if I don't, if I make tools that my clients can't use, then it's like kind of rendered useless. But like, that's pretty cool. Okay, I digress. I'm stalling again.
Write and execute Python natively in Excel. No need to install any add-ins and no clunky separate windows for writing the code. Super exciting, I know.
It is
The new
exciting.
py function converts the formula bar into Python mode, enabling us to import Python libraries like pandas, numpy, seaborn, and more. We can define data frames based on the data in our files, perform data analysis with ease, and build spectacular charts. In this video, I'm going to
Those are spectacular charts.
cover step-by-step how to use Python in Excel for data analysis and charting. And if, like me, you know nothing about Python, I'll show you how to use ChatGPT to write the Python for you. There's an example file you can download from a link in the video description. Now, before we start, I should point out that Python is currently only available to Microsoft 365 users on the beta channel. Without further ado, Python in Excel. I'll start by loading the libraries.
First of all, that chart is super sick. Ooh. People can barely read bar charts though, so I'm a little nervous about that. But dang. Oh, wait. Samples. Wait a minute. Correlation matrix. Oh, hell yeah. Ooh, okay. So for those of you guys that don't know, my background is industrial engineering. And one of the key problems I had is that all of our statistical classes were done in Minitab. And I never, like, no companies ever use Minitab, and it's clunky and weird, and it's close to Excel, but not really. And so this is probably going to tap back into like my old stats knowledge, which is good, because I've kind of just put it to the wayside, because especially if you're interacting with clients that don't know anything about stats, like, you don't have to really razzle dazzle them with the craziest statistics, like an average and a standard deviation, perhaps a coefficient of variance really tickles their fancy. And so this might actually be good for real multiple regression and ANOVA analysis, and like, I'm throwing buzzwords because they have this, my statistical knowledge is pretty dusty. Okay. But these are cool. And I think just know, literally, okay, by pressing insert Python and then having tour samples, all tips. This, like, literally click around and find out is all I needed. Not all I needed, but man. Okay, we're wrapping up. We're almost done with the hour, but so this week was trying to find things that it does better than Excel. And I think Layla did a good job of displaying a few quick tips, and I put the links in the chat, but next week I'm probably going to do more, try to find, usually week 2 of Officers of the Amber, I will apply it to something I'm actually working on in my day-to-day. I think I'm going to have to do like a real friction analysis of my day-to-day and be like, what is the most impactful thing that would really benefit from Python or, this level? And I'll probably interact with ChatGPT again to be like, hey, help me find the best problem to solve, because I think throwing Python at everything doesn't make sense, but I like building the muscle memory in this. So we'll see. Let's see what she's got to say.
To activate Python mode, type =py and tab. Notice the formula bar now has the green banner to the left to indicate it's in Python mode, as does the cell. Now I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Control F2 to switch to the formula bar, and then I can make it a bit bigger. It's just going to give me more room to write my code.
At Signable, we use
Import the libraries. I simply list what I want. So
This was from a year ago, and I feel like they've even improved since then. So I'm going to hop to a different video.
Hello and welcome.
Oh,
Python
Dim,
is
love
in
him.
Excel. I am very excited about this. I've had learning Python on my to-do list. I realize actually for probably more than 20 years because, or not quite, but about 20 years because I liked the sound of it, liked the idea of learning it
Well, this
when I
is
was
a year
in
ago as
college,
well.
and doing some computer science. But I also had a sort of
Harry,
specific
you're in the
plan.
comments of this too.
In early 2020, I had set aside a bunch of time to learn Python, and then COVID happened, and there was no school and no childcare, and my plans were cancelled. But in any case, there's always been a bit of a mental hurdle of, you got to set up an environment. I don't think that's really a good excuse. I don't think it would have taken me very long. Export as fixed format to a PDF. Is that Excel file? This is unfortunately a do-over, but I am going to try to. I don't know if he would call himself an expert in that, but he's certainly a real programmer. Who knew Python beforehand. Minda Tracy did a great video. Leila Gorani did a great video. Just all good stuff for like getting oriented. So a few things. First thing is to start this. I mentioned that this was accidentally my second take. So this is the kind of here's one I made earlier that I might refer back to if I get lost. But so to start writing Python, you just write equals py and tab. Py is a function, but it also just kind of creates this Python environment. And one thing that I do know because I've come across it, the Microsoft team saying it is you can't mix the py function with other functions, which I guess is why it opens up this separate environment here. So that's the first thing. Second thing is you can refer to sheet ranges. So you can do something like this. Now there's a function and quotes and everything, but if you just click, whoops, sorry, I clicked on the picture there by mistake. That was not what I meant to do, but never mind. Why on earth is that still busy? Okay, there we go. So you can do that and it'll select a range. And I did check this earlier. If I have a dynamic array, sequence 10, for example, then I can also point to that and it will use the hash, use the dynamic array reference to pick it up.
Okay, that's fantastic news. On that note, we just found out that we can use dynamic arrays as Excel. Like that makes the references completely dynamic, which is really nice because then you don't have to keep expanding. That was a small concern I had, but not really. So that's great. Okay, thank you guys for coming to Officers Lamber. I'm going to go hang out in the Discord chit-chat chamber for a little while and chit-chat with whoever comes by. Happy Monday to everyone. I've never been this speechless by something in Excel. I mean, like, Power Query was like the first huge advancement in my brain. Like, let's also go back in time a little bit. When I first started Anheuser-Busch, we were using Access to be able to interact with databases and query and do all of that stuff. And then I would adjust my queries in Excel or like in Access, and then I would externally data connect from the Access into Excel. And it was incredibly slow, but it was faster than doing all the reports by hand. So then I got to live through all of the tech debt we acquired, like basically by building it all that way. Then a guy came onto my team, shout out Andrew Smith, love you so much. He came to my team and then he showed me like the external data connections. You could put your SQL code or like in the data connection and have a direct connection. So cool. Then Power Query came along and then I got to rebuild all my tools a third time, which is like incredibly fast. And so this is probably the most speechless I've been because like LETs and Lambdas and everything has been really cool and I've learned a lot and dynamic arrays are all great. And it's sped up a lot of how I process things, but Python is unlocking a new segment of the brain now that although it might not be as flexible as Python native, like, regular Python, it's still the charting is infinitely, it seems, quicker dash flexible. I don't know. I'm excited to find out. But TLDR, I'm going to head over to the chit chat chamber. Thank you guys for coming. I never know when this turns on.